You ever find yourself sitting in a room so cold it feels like your bones are rattling even though it's July and the whole world outside is melting? That's how it started, me under those flickering fluorescent lights in Brooklyn Family Court, wondering how the hell I'd gotten here, staring at my hands just so I wouldn't have to look at Robert. You know, it's funny, a decade of building a life together, and now he's at the other end of the table, lounging back in his best suit like he's waiting to sign for a package. He didn't look nervous. Me? My stomach was doing flips, and his cologne, the one I'd picked out last Christmas, was still hanging in the air, sweet and sickening, like some kind of joke the universe was playing just on me. I remember thinking, is this it? After everything, is this really how it ends? Strangers on the benches waiting for their own battles. A tired bailiff who looked like he was counting down the hours, and Robert tapping his fingers on the table, all polished nails and casual arrogance. Those hands used to hold mine through subway rides and winter storms when we were young and broke and trying to make something out of nothing in a shoebox apartment. Now, those hands were just a reminder of everything I'd lost. Let me back up a sec. A month ago, a manila envelope landed on my doorstep. No warning. No audible mint. Just a stranger's face, an engine idling across the street, Robert, sunglasses on, waiting in his BMW. He didn't even get out of the car, just rolled down the window and tossed out. Good luck starting over without anything, like he was ordering takeout. That was it. That was goodbye. And until today, that was the last time he'd said a word to me. When the clerk called our case Fields versus Fields, my heart almost stopped. It's a strange feeling, hearing your own name like it belongs to someone else. Tamika Johnson, my attorney, squeezed my shoulder and leaned in. This isn't his victory lap. We fight today for everything. I nodded, even though my knees felt like they might give out any second. Judge Whitaker came in, robes swishing, eyes sharp as tacks. He looked tired, like he'd seen every kind of heartbreak. But I could tell he was paying attention. Robert's lawyer, Mr. Goodman, started talking. All confidence, all slick words. There's a prenuptial agreement. Your Honor, everything's already decided. He said, modest settlement, like he was doing me a favor. My throat went dry, but Tamika wasn't having it. She stood up, straightened her blazer, and with a voice that could cut glass, she laid it out. That prenup was never filed, never notarized, no witness, and more than that, I'd built that company with Robert from nothing. Judge Whitaker nodded. Let's start with testimony. My turn. I stood up, legs shaking, but I found my voice. When Robert started his company, we had nothing. I worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs, paid the rent, built his website, met with clients, did the numbers when he didn't know how. I convinced the first investor to even take a meeting. I gave up my own career so he could chase his dream. I looked straight at Robert, and he looked right past me, stone-faced. Mister. Goodman jumped on it. But you were never an official partner, Mrs. Fields. Your name isn't on the paperwork. I didn't blink. That was Robert's choice. He said it'd protect us. I trusted him. Judge Whitaker wrote something down and called on Robert. Robert stood up, acting like he was the hero of the story. Your Honor, Natasha helped in the beginning, sure, but I did the work. The business was always mine. She kept the house running, answered emails, but this was my vision, my risk. He shoved the prenup across the table with a little flourish. Tamika just smiled. Your Honor, this document is missing everything that makes it legal. She handed over county clerk records, no signature, no witness, not even filing. The judge held it up to the light. Nobody breathed. I'll be the judge of its validity, he said, and you could feel Robert get nervous for the first time all day. He started tapping his knee under the table. Then came the witnesses. Robert's CFO, clipped and cold, Mrs. Field was around at first, but all decisions came from Mr. Fields. Tamika pulled out emails, photos, texts showing me at launch parties, business meetings, contracts. Then my sister Yvette's shaky voice, but steady words. I watched my sister pour herself out for that marriage, for that business. She was there when it was just a laptop and a dream. It was like piece by piece, the story I'd lived but never said out loud was finally being built in front of everyone. Tamika produced bank records, joint accounts spent on business expenses, business cards with both our names. every bit chipped away at Robert's mask. The afternoon dragged on. The sun started sinking, shadows stretching long across the courtroom floor. I felt like I could crumble right there, but I didn't. Finally, the judge called a recess. In the hallway, Tamika handed me water. He's rattled. "You're doing good." I tried to breathe. Back in the courtroom, things had shifted. Robert looked less sure, kept glancing at his lawyer. "Mr." Goodman tried again. "Mr. Fields, what was your financial state when you married Mrs. Fields?" Robert, suddenly defensive. "I had debt but dreams. Natasha helped, but it was my drive that brought us here." Tamika didn't let up. "If you were so successful, why did you need Natasha's income? Why use joint accounts? Why is she the emergency contact on the paperwork?" He fumbled, "Just logistics. She was there, but this was my vision. You know what I mean? That's how it always goes." Then the judge went for the kill. "Do you have proof this prenup was filed?" Goodman shuffled papers, but Tamika slid a certified letter across the table. "No record with the county. Not signed. Not notarized." The room went quiet. Even the bailiff straightened up. Robert's hands stopped moving. Judge Whitaker's voice was ice. "Mr. Fields, this document carries no legal weight." Robert tried to talk. "Your Honor, this isn't right. She's just..." But the judge cut him off. Silence. For the first time, Robert actually looked at me, and what I saw wasn't anger or arrogance. It was panic. Judge Whitaker spoke, slow and final. "Based on the evidence, witness testimony, and the failure to properly execute and file the prenuptial agreement, the court finds in favor of Mrs. Fields. All properties, business holdings, are awarded to her. Mr. Fields, you receive a portion of the joint savings and one vehicle. The business is hers." You could feel the air leave the room. "Mr. Goodman's mouth worked, but nothing came out. Robert's face was a mess, the cocky grin gone, replaced with a blank stare, words stuck in his throat. I just looked at him calm, finally steady. The judge signed the order, handed it to the clerk, and looked right at me. "You may be seated, Mrs. Fields. The court's decision is final." And just like that, it was over. Robert's lawyer whispered in his ear, but he just sat there, lost, staring into space, a man who'd just realized everything he thought he controlled was gone. The room emptied around us. People stared, judging, maybe, but I didn't care. I gathered my things, moved slow, on purpose. One last glance at Robert, there was nothing left to say. I walked out, the heavy door closing behind me, sealing off the past and everything he thought he could take from me. Yeah, that happened. Justice isn't always about who screams the loudest or who writes the biggest. Check, sometimes it's just about hanging on, letting the truth get its moment in the sun. So let me ask you, was that justice? Was it enough? Do you think people ever really get what they deserve in court, or is it always more complicated than that? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this story if it moved you, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that make you feel something. Thanks for listening.